Wendell Sailor here for PNGBet.com and welcome to Big Dell's Tips for Round 7. Have I got some winners for you? Let's hope so, because last week there was a lot of upsets. Okay, what a game to start on a Thursday night. The Panthers versus Newcastle Knights. The Panthers went to Brisbane and they did it tough. They didn't get it all their own way from the start of the game. The Broncos took it to the Panthers right through the middle and on the edges. They found a way to win at the end on the back of guys like Nathan Cleary, who played some pretty good football, but also Drew Luai, who played some wonderful football through the middle there. Some nice footwork to get them home. It's going to be a tough one here because we know what the forward pack can do here from the Panthers, and that's up to Newcastle now. Newcastle have got Clemmer. They've got some really good players in through Saifidi and that, and they need to take them on head-to-head. The Broncos showed the way. So if you can do that, you're a chance at winning a game like this. So it's going to be a tough one because Newcastle Knights at $5.35, Penrith Panthers at $1.12. That's a really short price for the Panthers, but I understand. They're hard to beat at the foot of the mountains. So for me, Newcastle Knights, I think, at 17.5 start, I think is the best bet at $1.77. That's a good price. I think the Newcastle Knights, it'll give a bit of confidence getting back into that winning way on the back of Kalen Ponga last week. Kalen Ponga was special. Everything he did was class. I think he had a bit of food poisoning or something just after half time, but he found a way to make the clutch play at the end, and that's what the great players do. So I'm looking forward to this. Kalen Ponga going up against guys like Nathan Cleary, so some special young talent there, but even the big men. Big kick out against Tyson Frizzell. That's going to be a Thursday night special. I can't wait. So I think the Panthers will win, but Newcastle Knights at the line, 17.5 points, I think is more than enough. Hi guys, Wendell Sailor here, and what a Friday night game we got for you. The Gold Coast Titans versus South Sydney RABBITOHS. Well, the Titans were very much humble last week. A lot of people, especially myself, have been waxing lyrical about how they're good they're going, how good Fafita is and Big Tino, but really, they got absolutely smashed. And it was funny, it was actually by the fullback Tom Trbojevic. I can't believe Tommy Turbo. I know why they call him Tommy Turbo. Couple line breaks, scored a try, set up tries, saved tries. That's what he does. But the Titans, they just couldn't get into their rhythm. For me, if I'm Justin Holbrook, I'm saying, hey boys, let's let that game go. It wasn't good at Mudgee, but I'm sure we can reset. And this is an opportunity for him against the South Sydney RABBITOHS. But you know Latrell Mitchell has been close to the heart and soul of the South Sydney support. If he doesn't make that break at the end from the end goal, which a lot of players, would just let the ball go dead. But he grabbed the ball, he took it out, went about 50 metres, and from there, Big Burgess, he scored on full time, which is one of those players where I thought, mate, Luke Brooks, if he scores that, it's one of those special players at rugby league. It has. For me, South Sydney, I think they can win this game. $1.43 to win. The Titans at $2.85. I'm taking the Bunnies to win 1-12 because Latrell Mitchell, he's a big loss for them. He's out for a couple of weeks, but also the Titans, they were embarrassed last week, and Justin Holbrook as a coach, he'll be into them. So AJ Brimson's going to be their key man at the back, and he was quite by all standards last week. Should be a cracking match, and the Bunnies for me. Hi guys, Wendell Sailor here, and what a match we have for you. The Parramatta Eels versus the Brisbane Broncos. Well, the Brisbane Broncos, I've got no doubt they will get a bit of confidence out of that game last week. Obviously, Corey Oates back to the wing, saved a couple of tries against the Panthers, but also I think now he knows that he's best suited to the wing and not playing in the back row off the bench. So good work to Corey Oates. Xavier Coates on the other wing. They're going to be hard to stop, but also the Parramatta Eels. For them to go down to the nation's capital, do a job on Canberra like they did, it's wonderful. Look, we know their forwards, the cornerstone of their team. You got Papali'i, you got Hipgrave that can do the job there. Nathan Brown, they're the forward pack that most people are saying that they can go to the next level. They can match the Melbournes and the Penriths, and we see them match the Panthers this year. But the Broncos, for me, the Broncos have got a good side, but they played too much an individual team. They've got to try and put it back to back on what they did last week. I know they come up 8 points short last week, but what it proves to them is they can go with the bigger teams. So for me, I think Brisbane Broncos here at $4.30 deserve to be at $4.30, especially when you're playing the Parramatta Eels at Bankwest Stadium, $1.18. That is short price, But what I'd be taking here on the way they play, Parramatta Eels at the moment, minus 15.5 for $2.04. I think it's a great price because the Broncos, once they start leaking points, mate, it's hard to get it back. And I don't know if they can back up that performance last week on the back of guys like Payne Huss and Davida Pengai Jr. So for me, Parramatta Eels there to win and at the line. That's your best bet. Hello guys, Wendell Sailor here, and what a match we have for you. The Cronulla Sharks versus the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. Well, the Bulldogs, they're trying hard, but they just can't seem to get the job done. On the back of what they did last week, they tried really hard, but you can't have a player sent off. Hetherington was sent off with about 20 minutes to go, 25 minutes to go, which made it hard. But they found a way to come back, score a couple of tries, but it's still, the Cowboys got them. For me, the Cronulla Sharks, they showed a lot of ticker going up there to Newcastle. They nearly got the job done. They couldn't stop Kalapong at the end. I know with their new coach, Josh Hannay, they'd be happy. But for mine, when you have the Bulldogs at $4.57, they're the only team that hasn't won a game yet this year. The Cronulla Sharks are $1.16. I think that's pretty short for the Sharks. I know they're a good side. At $1.16, yep, that's short. But I would be taking Cronulla at the line, minus 7.5 for $2.07. I just don't have the Bulldogs go with them. They keep trying, but they're not confident enough to break through. They've got so much inexperience there, and Trent Barrett will be getting really frustrated there. But I think the Cronulla Sharks can have their way with the Bulldogs this weekend. Hello guys, well this is a match that I'm looking forward to. North Queensland Cowboys versus the Canberra Raiders. Canberra Raiders were very much embarrassed last week by Parramatta Eels. Ricky Stewart actually said that there's some players out there that's so selfish and they're not doing their job. So those players will want to aim up this week for Rick. On the back of that, through the middle, we know they're so tough through the middle, but out wide, they got found out wide, and that's where they've got to fix up some of their areas. Mitchell Moses carved them up out wide, and they made too many mistakes for me, the Raiders. The Cowboys, they're playing some good football, some good young players in this Cowboys side, but I love watching players like Cole Felt. He's just a really aggressive, big, strong outside back. Valentine Holmes showed glimpses of why, he's renowned as a blue chip player last week. So the Cowboys at home, they're always tough to beat up there, but I just don't think they've got the personnel, and I think the Canberra Raiders can bounce back. Canberra Raiders $1.25. I think it's a real short price. I don't give the Cowboys too much of a chance here. I know they've had a couple of good wins of late against the West Tigers and obviously last week against the Bulldogs, but they're two of the lowly ranked sides. But I reckon a good price here. The Canberra Raiders minus the 9. They will bounce back because Ricky Stewart was absolutely ropeable with his team. And that's Ricky for you. He understands that you need to win those sort of games at home and not get embarrassed. So Canberra Raiders minus 9 for $1.70. I reckon that's a good bet. But some really good players to watch, I think, in this game, as we know. Bailey Simonson at the back there. Josh Papali'i from the front. He will lead from the front. Being a Queensland boy, he will set that standard, and he will make sure that the Raiders get off on the right note. And they won't come with so many mistakes. Their halves will control it. And Jack Whiten, for me, has got a bloke that's got to stand up. At the moment, he's playing within himself. So, yep, go the Raiders over the Cowboys at home. All the North Queensland fans will turn up, and hopefully they can upset the Raiders. Well, we love our Anzac clashes, and we know that the Dragons and the Roosters, the Melbourne Storm, and we know the Warriors, they have had a mortgage on playing on these Anzac days, but this game is going to be a cracker. West Tigers versus Manly Seagulls. Well, Manly, what can you say? They were struggling to win a game, and now they're going back-to-back. On the back of Cherry Evans kicking the field goal at Gosford against the Warriors, that gets them home. That gives us some confidence. And then when you got someone like Tom Trbojevic, who's due back, as he did last week, it's Tommy Turbo. It's like having a Ferrari in the garage and just rolling him out. So he didn't miss a beat last week. The Titans didn't know what hit him. He went through the middle, he went on the edges, he went up high. He just did whatever he wanted to do, but it was a really good team effort from Manly. The Tigers, as we know, they did everything right to win that game against the Bunnies, but they just couldn't close it out. That's probably a better performance from the Tigers that I'd see. On the back of guys like Luke Brooks, young Dane Laurie was doing some really good stuff. Dane Laurie's been the finest season. At the moment, he'd be my Rookie of the Year. But even their forward pack really stood up last week on the back of James Tarmow. As he said in an interview, they know what's expected. He wants the fans to stick with them because at the moment they're trying to find their identity. Even though they've only had one win this year, the West Tigers, they've been close a couple of times. But for mine, I can't go past Manly. When you got guys like Cherry Evans, the Travojevic brothers, they're doing great things, and it just gives you so much more confidence. If you have a look at Kieran Foran last week, he made it look easy because you have Tommy Turbo, who gives you support inside and outside, another ball player, another runner. I think Marty Tapau was on TV saying that Tommy Turbo is like a prop, a half, an outside back. He's just doing all that stuff. So the West Tigers, it's a good price actually, $2.45. Manly Seagulls $1.48. I'm going to go with Manly to win 1-12. I reckon because the West Tigers, they will take them close. But I think Manly Seagulls, now they've got some confidence now. You've got Tommy Turbo back there. 1-12 is a good price, and that should get you a nice little collect. But this is a nice way to start the Anzac events. Well, this is one of the best matches of the year. Outside the finals, this is a game that a lot of clubs love. It's the Roosters versus the Dragons, the Anzac clash. It's unbelievable. There's so much emotion on this day. The players understand they're going into battle, but there's people that have gone to war, and I love the emotion behind this. The veterans, they get there. We know what happens in the morning, but even through the day, the two ups, it just sets a nice standard for the day. And the Roosters last week, they went to Melbourne. They showed a bit of pride there because they were undermanned with their playing roster, but they still found a way just to sort of stick with Melbourne at half time. But Melbourne in the second half, they went to another level and just put a few points on them, and they scored at the end. So we know they've got some good young players, the Roosters, but Tedesco, once again, he'll be very proud and honoured to lead this Rooster side against the Dragon side, who last week certainly got humbled by the Warriors. The Warriors haven't won at Cogra for like 15 or 16 years or something, and then all of a sudden, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, he comes into his own, he scores a winning try, but I don't see that a disappointment for the Dragons because the Warriors played some really good football. They took it to them through the middle. Their skills out wide with their big men. So on the back of this game here, you've got to look at a guy like Matt Duffy going up against Tedesco. Duffy's been really good, made a mistake early in that game, but the forward packs, this is where it's at. When you guys got guys like Joey Hargraves versus Tariq Sims, they're the clashes that I look forward to. I'm very excited about this. But look, I can't go past the Roosters. Brett Morris will return. He had sore calves last week, and a world-class finisher like him, he adds one or two tries to you. He usually saves one and scores one. He's a world-class finisher. Mate, I'm going the Roosters here. I know it's going to be hard because I'm a Red V man. The Roosters here at the line, minus 5.5. That'll get you $1.93. Off the bat, Roosters at $1.53, which is a nice price. Dragons $2.36. So I know some Dragons fans out there. They're confident in this because the Dragons go right in these Anzac clashes, but I can't go past the Roosters here. I reckon they'll bounce back on the back of guys like Tedesco and Joey Hargraves. Well, to end off our Anzac clash, we've got a really good clash for you, and we talk about the Anzacs and we respect it. The Melbourne Storm versus the Warriors. That's a nice way to end off our Anzac clash. And look at the sum of the players. We talk about what the Anzac spirit means to a lot of these players. And we love the bond between Australia and New Zealand. We've always had a healthy respect for one another. But I love this match because there's a lot of Kiwis in both sides. And it means so much to a lot of us. But Ryan Pappenhausen at the back up against RTS. Two of the best fullbacks in the game. And you go to the forward pack. Look at the forward pack there. Tohu Harris, who's been outstanding this year. Up against a guy like Jesse Bromwich. Brandon Smith up against Wade Egan. And you got a guy like Harry Grant who's on the bench. And then you get a guy like Bunty Afoa coming off. So there's something for everyone. There's so much aggression. And I've got to tell you, I love some of the Fijian flyers out there too. Josh Adokar is doing his stuff. But Justin Olam, the Papua New Guinea boy. But there's this Fijian that I love, Kamakamitha. He's the biggest man in the world. He's so strong. So I think he's starting to hit his form. So it's going to be up to guys like Ben Murdoch-Masila to try and stop him in his tracks. The way that you beat the Melbourne Storm, you've got to take them up front and you've got to out-muscle them through the middle, but you've got to take them out of their comfort zone. That's what some teams have been able to do. Earlier in the year, Parramatta did that. So we're looking at the prices now. Melbourne Storm, they're so short at $1.10. The Warriors, $5.85. Do I give the Warriors a chance? Look, I don't think the Warriors can win this, but I think the Warriors at 16.5 start, that is mouth-watering. for $1.83. I reckon that's a really good price. And I reckon that's a nice way to finish off our Anzac clash. And thank you to the diggers and respect to the players that have played well and tough this weekend. Have a good weekend. That's Big Dell's it for this weekend. Same time, same place next weekend. Happy punting.